Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Este ritmo de palmas, sin naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. My name is Barry Kessler, and I am your host, and so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Maybe it's even yours. If it's not, we're going to make sure it is one day, and that is Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That music you're listening to is performed by Alberto Perez. The very talented Alberto Perez is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants right here in Puerto Vallarta on the south side, right on the beach, right next to the Los Muertos Pier, which when you go there at night, it gets all lit up. You sit there, toes in the sand, right at the ocean's edge. And if you play your cards right, you can hear Alberto play his beautiful music and enjoy the songs like Samba de Puerto Vallarta when you enjoy dinner at the Lapa Lapa. I'm just saying, it's just that added bonus to a great romantic meal on the beach. Now, today I'm going to be talking with a guy who runs food tours in beautiful Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And remember, we talked about this on the very first episode of my show. We talked about getting people out of the all-inclusives, getting them out of their hotels, getting them out of the hotel zone, and into, the city, the town of Puerto Vallarta, and enjoy a little bit of the taste of what's going on the streets there. So I'm going to be talking with David Ostlund, and David is the president of Chef's Pass Puerto Vallarta Food Tours, and he's going to join me in my apartment here in Puerto Vallarta. And unlike my studio where I have at home, where I have nice quiet carpeting, this particular studio that I have in Mexico has tile floors. There's going to be lots of echoes and stuff like that, and well, while you're in Mexico, there's going to be a lot of that because there's not a lot of carpeting going on in the tropics. It's cool, it's tile floors and things like that. So on top of that, the apartment is up in the El Cerro part of town, which is right now 4 blocks. I'm 4 blocks above the Iglesia de Nuestra Señora de Guadalupe, and that's that church that's got that famous crown church that you see in all the advertisements about Puerto Vallarta. Yeah, that church there. So we're about 4 blocks above that. Every once in a while, you might even hear the bells toll. You never know. But you're going to hear squealing brakes, and you're going to hear all kinds of stuff because, man, when people come up the hill to come past my place, they got to gun it because it's like flying an airplane. You go straight up, and I counted about 160 steps, and it's like climbing a ladder. It's just like walking straight up. It's incredible. Taxi drivers look up that hill when I say, "Okay, get me up there," and they shake their heads, but hey, they get it up there. Anyway, without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's get on talking with Dave Ostlund of Chef's Pass Puerto Vallarta Food Tours. Today, I am joined by David Ostlund, and he is the president of Chef's Pass Puerto Vallarta Food Tours, and he's here to talk about, you guessed it, food tours in Puerto Vallarta. So, David, thanks for coming aboard today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Barry. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, Dave. Where are you from, and what's your tie to Puerto Vallarta?
Well, I'm a Minnesota-born, and bred boy, live in Minneapolis, but I've been coming down to Vallarta for over 20 years. And, it started just with a week's vacation, and then all of a sudden turned into a month here and there, and then it turned into 6 or 7 trips for a year, and now it's pretty much every month for a week.
Good deal. All right. Well, gee, I wish I could do that.
Well, you got to build what your passion is, and my passion has been Vallarta, so I decided I also needed to build a business around it.
Fantastic. I like that. And so Chef's Pass Puerto Vallarta food tours, they're relatively new, and maybe you could tell the listeners why you jumped in this endeavor.
Well, I've always had the idea of doing something down here. I wasn't really sure what it was. My business up in the Twin Cities is all restaurant marketing, driving people to restaurants, driving tourists and travelers to restaurants, people in hotels, through various products. And I stay in the El Centro region of Vallarta, and I've just seen it dissipate over the years.
Yeah.
And not as many people are coming to the restaurants, not as many people are coming to the shops. And I think everybody knows that 80% of the taxis that leave the airport are going north to Bucerías or Punta de Mita or Nuevo. And once people get into, or even the marina, once people get into those all-inclusives, they just don't leave. So my thought process was, how do I get people to commit to coming into town and enjoying the cobblestone streets and the shopping and the food before they even get on that plane to come down here? Make a commitment so that they can actually come into the city and see the beauty that the city has. Not just food, but just the scenery, the liveliness, everything. And so that was kind of the impetus behind it all.
That's a very good idea. I totally agree with you. I've been in that trap before. I've been up in the hotel zone, and it wasn't an all-inclusive, but it was one of those things where, hey, why leave this place? I'll just go ahead and stay and hang out by the pool and drink and, all that other good stuff that we do when we come to Puerto Vallarta.
But there's so many places to do it, not just your pool, not just your hotel, and people get stuck in that. I don't know how many people I know that tell me, yeah, I go to Vallarta every year. I love it there. Well, where do you stay? I stay in XYZ out in Nuevo. I'm like, yeah, you didn't go to Vallarta.
Yeah, well, they weren't, because they were in a different state, for goodness sake.
Exactly. And have you ever been into town? Well, what part of town? Have you ever been on the Malecon? Have you ever been to the Rio Quali? Have you ever been to, Cuatis y Cuetis? Have you ever hung out at the Vultures table? Things like that. And no, it's all that. Oh, no. Something has to be done here.
Right. Well, I'm glad you're doing this. And actually, this is one of the reasons that I'm doing this show, is to get people to know what's out here and to take advantage of everything Puerto Vallarta.
Exactly. And I'm glad you're doing it. It's I love it.
Thank you. Now, there's a couple other companies out here that do food tours in town. So how do you differentiate yourself from those others?
Well, the other companies have been around for quite a while. We've been around for a year and a half, and those companies do an absolutely amazing job. They do a great job. I've been on the tours myself. I've watched the tours. I've read the reviews. But my angle was more really finding a niche that they didn't cover, and one was a progressive food tour of more higher-end restaurants in El Centro, where you would go to 4 different restaurants in 4 hours, have 3 courses, sit-down courses at each restaurant, and sit there for 45 minutes to 50 minutes and be served tableside, have a drink. And these aren't little tasting. They're like maybe a fifth of a dish or a fourth of a dish. So,
yeah, I've read some of the reviews, and they all say, hey, there's a lot of food here.
It is. So you go to one, and then you move to the next, and the next, and finish at a fourth. And over the course of the evening, you have 12 courses. And you get a historical view of the city by the guide, and meet new people, and just have a great time. And that's the El Centro tour. And there's a similar tour in Old Town, Eat Where the Locals Eat. It's on a smaller scale. It's 3 restaurants, 2 courses per restaurant, and then a street side crepe for dessert.
Huh,
and
so
a
nice touch.
It's more of a progressive, where else can you go and get a handful of restaurants in and a multitude of dishes in one night and really experience all the different flavors that Vallarta has to offer.
Sure. Oh, and by the way, if you hear some background noise here today, we are in Mexico, and when you're in Mexico, it can get loud. You never know when some banda music might chime in here, or a gas truck driving up the street selling gas, and that's so. Anyway, I'm just kind of warning all of you that the
roosters, dogs, donkeys.
Oh gosh, yeah, exactly. So I'm just a warning that this might not be as pure and clean as out of the studio. So just bear with us here. So you were talking about restaurant progressives.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more about that? Or
Well, I mean, the way I like to eat, I would much rather go to a handful of places, sit at a bar, grab 2 or 3 appetizers and a drink with my wife or my friends, and then share them around, and then get up, walk down the street, and do it again. I don't care if it's in Vancouver or San Francisco, Manhattan, Paris, Hong Kong. I don't care, because I do quite a bit of traveling too. And it just makes sense that if I can leave a city and have tried 100 different items instead of 7,
right.
you just get a better understanding of their cuisine.
Sure.
And especially if you're somebody that has an educated palate, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So for those of you who aren't familiar with what a progressive meal or dinner is, it's basically, from what I understand, you start off with an appetizer.
You'll start off at one place. You'll start out at Panorama,
okay,
which is on the 7th floor of Hotel La Siesta on the big hill that overlooks the entire city. So it's at 6 o'clock.
That's
we're up there.
That's the greatest view. Really nice.
We're up there for the sunset, which is beautiful. And there you get a made tableside Caesar salad and either calamari or mussels, and then either a shrimp bisque or a creamed avocado. And so those are the 3 dishes there. Then we move over to Barcelona, tapas, and get 3 different types of tapas there. And then we move to Si Senor and sit in the beautiful back garden there.
Beautiful.
And have 3 courses there, and then just walk down the street to Melissa Seafood, have 3 courses and a coffee there. And each place you also get a complimentary drink.
Oh, okay. So a little eating and a little drinking. That's nice.
A little eating and a little drinking.
Boy, all right. Well, everybody watch where you step while you're doing this, huh? Okay, you have something called the Adventurous Palate Street Food Crawl Tour. What does this Adventurous Palate actually mean?
Okay. Well, again, you mentioned the other tours in town. They do taco tours that are exceptional. They do a very good job. But again, the way I like to eat it, I like to try different things, and I'll pretty much put anything in my gullet, and I like it. And so I know that there are people out there that want things other than just regular tacos that you can get on the street that are built for the American palate.
Right.
And that's where I felt the other tours brought people. But if you walk around and you know the area, where you can find some incredible cabeza, which is head, lengua, tongue, tripa, tripe, fish roe, eggs, eat it, and even
Whoa, wait a minute, hold on a minute. They've got carts that sell that stuff.
Carts or restaurants that sell this stuff. We go to both. Yep.
Wow. Okay, and you were able to seek these out.
What's that?
You were able to seek these places out.
After you've been here for 20 years, you kind of get an idea. Sure. And, like our mutual friend JR from VallartaInfo.com, he definitely could help out a lot with his maps of the taco carts. And
oh, yeah.
My guide, Carlos Aguilar, he knows a lot about them. So we did our research, and we found what we felt are the best in town.
Neat. So,
and you know what? I mean, these carts also serve, quote unquote, normal tacos. Okay, so if you don't want that, or if your husband doesn't want that, or if your kids don't want that, they can get the stuff that's, not scary.
Right. That's the kids going, "Don't make me eat that, Daddy."
But you know what? Whenever I've brought anybody to these and I don't tell them what they're having, they love them. And as long as you just forget about what you're eating,
yes.
Yes. it's amazing, amazing food.
Well, when I was in China, I had the same thing. I never asked what it was. I just ate it.
Yeah, I do the same thing. Yep.
All right. So you have a new tour here. It's called City and Taco Tour. Now, that's a good idea. So people actually get the best of both worlds, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's city tours, and there's walking tours, and then there's still daytime taco tours. But there was really no driving van tour that brought you to different parts of town. You know, the river, the cliffs, Mismaloya, Casa Kimberly, you know, Our Lady of Guadalupe Church, and then intertwine that with the Berea in one place and a you know, octopus someplace else, and sitting back in the courtyard having some shrimp tacos and a beer. So it's all intertwined. It's a 6-hour van-driven tour, and
Okay, in a van.
In a van, in a 10-person air-conditioned van. So it's one of these tours. It's great for people that can't walk well. They don't really want to navigate the cobblestone streets or the high steps.
Right. Especially if you're drinking.
Especially if you're drinking. But this is a daytime tour. You know, it starts at 10 o'clock. It'll pick people up at the boat, at the ships, or at their hotels, or they meet just at the Ley Supermercado. Mm-hmm. And then it drives everybody back to the location of their choice.
Okay. Now, let's see here. Those two tours that you mentioned, they take people to taco stands, right? Mm-hmm. And many people who've been to Vallarta, they've seen them. They walk by. They smell great, but I'm sure many are hesitant to eat there. So, are they safe?
They're safe. 99% of them are safe. I mean, just like the 99% of restaurants are safe. This is, you know, they're chefs. These are family-owned businesses, but they're just al fresco. They're outside.
They got the paella there. They got the grill, and
they've got the grill. They're clean. They use their plastic gloves. They have sanitizer. If they didn't, if they weren't good, if they weren't healthy, if they weren't clean, they wouldn't be in business.
Got it. And so, how would you know if a taco stand's good, for example? Okay, if they're clean. I mean, how can you protect yourself from picking up an intestinal ailment?
Just watch how they're actually cooking the food too. Is it covered?
Okay.
When they're not serving, do they have hand sanitizers there? Are they using gloves? Are the plates that they're using disposable, or are they at least have a plastic covering so that they can throw the plastic away when they reuse a plate, put another piece of plastic on there? Just, you know, rational, logical things like that. If you see I mean, just like anything, if you see a restaurant that's not busy and right next door it's really busy, which one are you going to go to? So with taco stands, it's kind of the same thing. If you see a couple taco stands that serve the same thing, but nobody's at one and everybody's at the other, you know, I'd go to the one where everybody's at.
Well, yeah. I mean, it just goes to show, I think people know that if they walk up to an empty restaurant, they might be a little hesitant to walk in. But if they drive past one that's got a line out the door, they might stop and get in that line, you know?
Exactly. And, you know, the adventurous palate, the street food crawl, takes all that worry away. All you have to worry about is you get your 1, 2, or 3 tacos at each stand, which is, you know, I mean, and you also go and get churros and a crepe and a tamale. Again,
right.
A lot of food.
A lot of food.
A lot of food. It's an incredible value. And then you learn about the area, too. The guide they're all licensed. They're all bonded. They're all insured. You know, they're all extremely educated. They have to take courses. They have to take classes. They have to be, you know, updated every year. Mm-hmm. And so you really get a full experience of the area.
Oh, okay. Now, that is great. I mean, a food tour with a tour. That's brilliant. Okay. So you've got this other tour. It's called Eat Where the Locals Eat. Now, is that spin or do they really go to where the locals eat?
They really go to where locals eat. The 3 stops are Perritos, Cisneros, and El Brujo. And so these are all places that, first of all, Perritos, you just don't accidentally get there.
All right, how do you spell that? What did you say?
Pajaritos.
Parajitos.
Parajitos.
Okay.
Yeah, my Spanish needs a little bit of help. And so you go there and you have some things that they make just that nobody else does in town. Fish balls in a lime tomato broth.
Wow.
Homemade fish balls. They have their own version of a chili en nogada, which people tell me it's not a chili en nogada, but for all intents and purposes it is if you look at the basis of it. But it is it's stuffed with marlin. And just has all the other elements that are really a normal one would have. But it's a beautiful plate. It's done extremely well. It's not even on their menu. It's just it's a special plate they make for weddings, anniversaries, when they cater things, and for Chef's Pass.
Great.
And then at Cisneros you get crab taco and stuffed jalapeno taco.
Their food is great.
I love their food. Yep. And at El Brujo, which is the one place where you're probably going to see more gringos, but not like it's not flooded. I mean, it's been around for a long time, and you get a couple of their traditional dishes there too. And then walk across the street and finish the day with the evening with a crate.
Nice. And yeah, that's where the locals eat.
Yeah, it really is.
So, what are your guides like? Are they locals? Are they expats? Who are your guides?
No, they're all local. They're from Guadalajara. Their first language is Spanish. They're bilingual. Some are trilingual. I mean, they were even more. Like I said before, they're licensed, they're bonded, they're insured, and they're extremely well educated. When you're a guide in Mexico, you need to know everything about Mexico because you don't necessarily know what tour you're going to be guiding people on. So you have to know everything about any tour that you could possibly be on in any part of the country.
Right.
And so, I mean, they know their stuff.
Yeah, they do a lot of studying for that, don't they?
They do a lot of studying. And, you know, to be successful in that business, you have to be extremely personable.
Sure.
You're not going to find any guides really any place that just don't have beautiful personalities. You know, you just want to be best friends with all of them because they're great people.
That's wonderful. So, of all those food tours, which one is the most popular?
You know, right now it's kind of a tie. It's between the Eat Where the Locals Eat and Best of El Centro progressive tour. My favorite, personally, I might get in trouble for saying this, but the truth is, my favorite is the taco tour, the Adventurous Palette, just because you're walking around outside, you're truly eating with the locals standing on the street. Well, you can also sit inside. Each one of these places has some indoor seating for people that don't want to stand on the corner.
That's a good idea.
And you just feel quite even more ingrained into the neighborhood on the taco tour.
Neat.
And then plus you can have some intestines if you want. I mean,
yeah, who doesn't want those?
Exactly.
Right. I'm kidding you guys, okay?
I'm not.
I know you're not. I love you, Dave. All right, so how do you choose the restaurants? Because there's so many in town. I mean, there's 700 restaurants in Puerto Vallarta. I mean, how do you go about making the cut?
Well, you have your hit list of, I know the city well enough that these are the restaurants I'd like in. And you go and talk to the restaurants and say, this is what my plan is. What do you think? And 3 out of the 4 I went to in El Centro said yes. And so I went to my 5th, and they said yes. So that gives me my 4 restaurants there. And then in Old Town, all 3 restaurants that we went to said yes. They just love the idea. They just love the concept. It hasn't been done for them before. Mm-hmm. It's a way for them to be introducing their product, their service, their ambiance, their cuisine to people that just never, ever would have probably gone there before.
Yeah, that would, I mean, if I were a restaurateur, I'd say yes to that too.
Absolutely. And to be honest, you know, they don't give this food away. They get paid, and they really put out a good spread because they want to impress. They want the people who go on these tours to come back again and again and again. And so they pull out all this. They don't, what's the word? They don't pull any stops.
They pull out all the stops.
They pull out all the stops.
That's right. That's what they do.
I'm in Mexico.
I'm not quite sure either. We'll let somebody correct us.
Okay.
All right.
You have an edit on this, right?
Oh, I'm not going to edit that out. What are you talking about? All right. So, do you always go to the same restaurants and taco stands, or do you mix things up?
For the most part, they're the same, but just like anything, businesses, sometimes they close down in the summertime for a few months, and we have to do some switching around. We actually bring the Best of El Centro tour down to 3 restaurants at that time instead of 4. And then the taco stands, it depends upon the night that you go because, they all close for at least one night a week. So you just insert someplace else, which is still quality.
Right, so have you walked up to a taco stand expecting it to be open and oops, they're not there?
Well, we know, and the guides know what's open, what's not, which nights.
Good.
And anybody out there that wants to know, let's call a spade a spade. This is something, if you really wanted to, you could do by yourself. Sure. You really could. You could. It's not as fun.
No,
it's not as easy. It's not as slick, and you don't have the beautiful guide or talking about things and the whole area and everything. But Vallarta Info has a great map, vallartainfo.com, a great map of all the street stands.
Oh, yeah. And remember we talked about downloading those maps onto your phones or printing them out and bringing them with you. And those taco stands are marked there. It's a great, it's a great item to have. Now, a lot of people come to Puerto Vallarta on a cruise ship. They're just here for a couple hours. And how would you go about booking a tour if you were coming here on a cruise and you wanted to meet with your tour group?
Well, if you're coming on a cruise, the easiest thing to do would just be go to the website, Puerto Vallarta, chefspass.com. And the tour that we have during the day is the city/taco tour. You'd get off your cruise ship, and actually the easiest thing to do is just taxi and meet up at the Lake grocery store. And we go on the 6-hour tour. You get happy, full, have a couple of drinks, see the city, see the sights, and learn everything there is to learn. And then you get dropped off, depending upon what time your ship leaves, back at the port, or you can be dropped off any place else in town.
That's a great plan for those of you who are coming on a cruise ship because cruise ships have their own tours that they select, and you, as a tourist, as a cruiser, have the opportunity to select whatever you want to select.
Right.
You just have to make sure that you get back on the ship before it pulls out of the dock. But I think that would be a great idea for some of you who are coming on a cruise ship to get a real flavor, get a taste of the town. That's something that you normally wouldn't get.
And if I can say this, when you do a tour and you buy it on your own instead of through the cruise ship, it's a lot cheaper because the cruise ship doesn't take their huge markup.
Right. So, once again, a great plan for all of you people who are cruisers. Well, okay. I think, do you have anything else that you want to add?
No, I really don't think so. I think it's something that if you want to really see a city and understand the city, and especially the culinary aspects behind it and the cuisine it has to offer, doing a food tour where you can try a multiple number of things over a 4-hour period is kind of a smart way to do it. And then plus, when you look at the price point, it's incredible value. So I hope everybody just at least gives it a shot.
I'm with you. So if you're going to be planning a trip to PV, how far in advance should a person book a tour?
Well, we need a 24-hour advance for 3 of the tours. We need a 72-hour advance for the vendor-driven city taco tour during the day. Okay.
And then how do we... how do we get in touch with Chef's Pass? Online, right?
Just go online, Puerto Vallarta, chefspass.com. The 4 tours are right there on the main page. You pick the tour that you want to go on. You click Buy, and you just go through the process of putting your credit card or using PayPal. Mm-hmm. Click how many people you want to go on the tour. Fill in their names. Fill in your telephone numbers for me to be able to contact you, and so you can contact me. And then you'll receive an itinerary, an email, and updates, and it's pretty slick. That's how easy it is.
It's
kind of like
easy.
making a reservation on Open Table, but it's for food tours.
Excellent. All right. Well, listen, you can also get the links to Chef's Pass on my website at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. You click on that show links tab there, and you will find a link to Chef's Pass. Now, you mentioned that you have a special discount for our listeners.
There is a special discount. If people use the code BOOKVallarta, they get a 15% discount on any of the tours.
Terrific. And once again, you'll find that link on my website, and you will also find it on, is it chefspassvallarta.com? Is that what it is? What's it called?
Puerto Vallarta chefspass.com.
Thank you. Puerto Vallarta chefspass.com. All right. David, I want to thank you so much to, again, coming over and joining me here today in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. And once again, those of you who are interested in a food tour, this is a great opportunity to get a real taste of Puerto Vallarta. Dave, thanks for joining us.
Barry, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Well, all right then. Great. That was a great interview, Dave. I want you all to know that the very next evening, I took the El Centro Tour, that progressive tour that it was called the Best of El Centro Tour. That's it. And we started off at El Panorama for the sunset, and we sat down and had Caesar salad, I would say at the best table in the house. And it was a gorgeous night for a sunset, or a gorgeous evening, I should say, for the sunset to come up. And we watched that. We had, like I said, Caesar salad. We had a cream of avocado soup, and I think something else. We also had margarita or something to drink. And we spent I'd say about 40 minutes up there and just enjoyed a little conversation and, again, watching the sunset. Got a little bit of a tour of the top area of the hotel, of the hotel restaurant, I should say. And then from there, we went downstairs and went to across the way to a place called Barcelona Tapas. And that is a gorgeous restaurant. It's a multi-leveled restaurant. And by going from one to the other, we were walking through the cobblestone streets of El Centro there, which was just very charming. Walking past taco stands and people's homes. And anyway, at Barcelona Tapas, we had another wonderful view of the city. The lights were going on, so a nice view of the city lighting up for the evening, which was very, very nice. The food, delicious tapas, which are just little treats, little bites to eat. And we had sangria served with that particular course. Then we walked down to a place called Si Senor, which was a good-sized restaurant. We had about 3 or 4 different tastings there, along with margarita. And at each of these restaurants, we spent about 40 minutes, maybe 45 minutes. And then our final stop was at a place called Melissa's, and Melissa's was also a real treat. It was a smaller restaurant than all the other 3. It was much more family-sized and much more personalized as far as that's concerned, but the food was delicious. We had a little mini shrimp burrito, and we also had a kind of, I think it was mango covered piece of mahi-mahi, or snapper, I'm not quite sure. It was one or the other. And also enjoyed an incredible mango margarita. Everybody was raving about that. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, all the stops, like I said, they all were accompanied by an adult beverage. And it was very filling. Everybody was happy, I think. I can't really say a bad thing about any of the stops that we made. I think that the biggest surprise, though, of the entire food tour was just how much fun all the people had interacting with one another and talking and learning about each other's, where everybody came from. And we just it was a great little way to get to meet other people. And if you're not into meeting other people, it just came naturally. You know what I mean? So it was cool. The guides were really nice. They were knowledgeable. So would I do it again? Yes, I do it again. Would I suggest people do it? Absolutely. It was a great idea, and Dave, I think you got a winner there. So thanks for inviting me to check it out, and I think it would be a great idea for each and every one of you guys to think about doing that as well. Well, I think that's about all I've got for this particular episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show today. Again, you're going to find all of my show notes to this podcast and to others, including the links to JR's site and to the website where you can purchase the fantastic music of Alberto Perez, who we're going to listen to as we play out this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. And gosh, that's one of the reasons I love to actually record episodes of this show so I could listen to Alberto play this music. It really is something, isn't it? Now remember, this show is an interactive show. I need your participation, so you got to send me emails, you guys. Send me questions for JR that you'd like to hear him answer on the air with me. And please email me your suggestions for show topics, things that you think I should be talking about. Just click on that Contact Us tab on my website at the top of the homepage at PuertoVallartaTravelShow.com. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of a tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to VallartaInfo.com, that's JR's website, and reserve your tour through him, really, right from his website. Remember, this is a value-for-value proposition. His experience and his on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making a purchase of a tour that you do anyway. You're doing it through him as a way of saying, thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs you no more than if you were to use someone else. So really, just go ahead and do it. And when you do take one of those tours, email me about your experiences. Sometime maybe you could come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, hit the Contact Us tab and send us a message. It just takes a little bit of your time and, well, go ahead and do it. And one more favor, please. If you like this podcast, and I know you do because you're listening to it, you made it all the way through, just take the time and give me a good review on iTunes. It would be so appreciated. It'd just take you, once again, just one little minute to do it. So do it so that maybe we can get the word out about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta. So thank you for listening all the way through. This is Barry Kessler signing off with a wish for you to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
Solo camino, interno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río, cuando todo está en calma, de pronto cae la noche, me brillas Puerto Vallarta.